All right, let's get right into it. Have you ever wondered why some people just seem to effortlessly build wealth and influence, while the rest of us feel like we're stuck running on a treadmill, getting nowhere? Well, today, in this explainer, we are completely unpacking the psychological frameworks of the ultra-successful. We're drawing directly from the brilliant, totally unfiltered insights of entrepreneur Kunal Shah. So get ready, because digging into these ideas might absolutely change the way you look at the world. Shah challenges a really massive societal misconception right off the bat. Success isn't a club you enter through inheritance. Basically, true success isn't handed down, it is earned. Now, sure, an inheritance or extreme privilege might buy you your first big break, but it absolutely cannot buy you your 10th win. True wealth and respect, they're earned through a completely different operating system. We're talking about how you process information, how you value your time, and how you interact with risk. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to break this down into 4 key mental models. 1, the long-term brain. 2, escaping the comfort zone. 3, the 4 pillars of trust. And 4, resourceful over insightful. Let's just jump right in. Kicking things off with our first model, the long-term brain, or the biology of success. There is literally a biological tug-of-war happening inside your head every single day. On one hand, you've got the amygdala. That's our animal brain. It's totally wired for the short term. It craves immediate dopamine hits, social media likes, fast fashion trends, and just quick emotional relief. But on the other hand, you have the neocortex. This is your long-term reasoning brain. This part seeks deep respect, it focuses on building really difficult skills, and ultimately, it's what creates long-lasting wealth. And Shaw points out that society is constantly suppressing this reasoning brain in favor of quick fixes. And here's the catch. Our modern environment is essentially a giant trap. We are currently wired to chase immediate dopamine hits. Think about the society we live in. It massively rewards short-term emotional reactions. I mean, think about how quickly we all jump to outrage on the internet, or how painfully hard it is to just wait 30 seconds for a microwave. By constantly feeding that animal brain, long-term thinking has become incredibly rare. And you know what? Because it's so rare, it is incredibly valuable if you can actually master it. To really put this into perspective, just think about the number 25. Shaw notes this shocking reality. An average person today will pause a single Netflix movie up to 25 times. We have become so addicted to these short dopamine cycles that just focusing on a simple 2-hour movie without checking our phones feels almost impossible. And listen, this lack of focus, that is the baseline you are competing against. Which brings us nicely to our second model, escaping the comfort zone. Focusing on the obsessive drive of high achievers. Look at this definition here. The comfort zone is a very infertile land that keeps you safe but guarantees you will never be extraordinary. Most people actively settle for this, right? They just want stability. But the ultra-successful, they treat comfort as an active, literal threat to their progress. If you want to be extraordinary, you basically have to starve yourself of those safety nets that keep you complacent. And you have to look at what's actually fueling that relentless drive. You're not going to find highly driven people listening to motivational speakers all day. Instead, they are running from a monster. They operate on this almost OCD-like loop to outrun their deep-seated fears. For some, they're escaping poverty or financial irrelevance. For others, they're outrunning past trauma, the societal status quo, or, like Shaw himself, this terrifying fear of just not understanding how the world is evolving. They aren't running toward a shiny finish line, they are aggressively escaping the bottom. So I really want you to ask yourself this. Do you shut down in fear, or do you convert it into curiosity? Elite athletes, top entrepreneurs, they absolutely feel fear just like the rest of us, for sure. But they have this biological override. They convert that fear of risk into intense curiosity. Instead of freezing up, they say, oh my God, let me see what happens. They literally use their fear as premium fuel. All right, let's pivot from our internal mindset to the external world. Model number 3, the 4 pillars of trust, the currency of relationships. Okay, here is a highly intriguing question to chew on. Why are the wealthy so incredibly good at keeping secrets? Shaw points out a really fascinating dynamic. People generally gossip because, well, they want to feel interesting in the moment. But successful people, they act as vaults. They hoard asymmetric insights. They don't need cheap gossip to feel valuable. Instead, they build ironclad relationships by acting as a total vault for other people's most sensitive information. True trust actually breaks down into a strict 4-part anatomy: integrity, consistency, competence, and benevolence, which basically just means you aren't entirely self-centered. But here is the absolute kicker from Shaw's insights. It's not just that you need all four to be great. It's that if visibly even one of these pillars is missing, true trust simply cannot exist. You can be super competent and consistent, but if your integrity is shady, boom, the whole structure instantly collapses. And the stakes for this are incredibly high. The text here says it all. Wealth disappears in the second or third generation when they lose the ability to keep secrets. Just think about that for a second. Decades of hard work, compounded capital, an entire legacy, it can vanish completely when subsequent generations become bad secret keepers and fail to maintain those foundational pillars of trustworthiness. Which perfectly leads us into our fourth and final mental model, resourceful over insightful, and the power of shamelessness. There's a pretty harsh contrast here. We all kind of want to be the insightful person, right? The one who perfectly understands why the world works, the brilliant observer. Actually, let's be real, we all just love sounding smart. But merely having good ideas isn't nearly enough to generate success. The wealthy, they are resourceful. They get things done, they focus purely on outcomes, and instead of letting the world happen to them, they happen to the world. Think about it. When you're in real trouble, you don't call the most insightful person you know to theorize about it. You call the most resourceful one to actually fix it. Now, to be truly resourceful, you have to shed this massive psychological weight that holds most of us back. Shaw drops this absolute truth bomb. All mockery is accepting lower status. Highly successful compounding individuals, they don't mock others, and they genuinely do not care about being mocked. They view petty outrage as a complete waste of highly valuable time. They are way too busy achieving to care about social judgment or anonymous internet comments. It's kind of a tragic irony, honestly. You are likely limiting your own success right now by worrying about a reputation that you don't even have yet. Young people especially are terrified of failing in public or asking for help because they want to protect their image in front of a couple thousand social media followers? They are fiercely guarding this non-existent aura at the fatal cost of their actual real-world growth. So let's get into some tactics. Welcome to the Shameless Toolkit. Removing that artificial friction of shame is your absolute superpower. Seriously, ignore the fear of rejection. Ask for help publicly. Send that cold email to the CEO. Double text without ego if you have to. Polite people miss out, while resourceful, quote-unquote, shameless people grab every single opportunity. Being perfectly poised doesn't build wealth. Being relentlessly proactive absolutely does. Which brings us to the ultimate question you really need to ask yourself as we wrap up this explainer. Are you letting the world happen to you, or are you happening to the world? Because true success is not a passive activity, and it certainly isn't comfortable. It requires playing the long game, guarding your trust like gold, and being utterly shameless in your pursuit of growth. So, what are you going to happen to today?